stars. My name is Samuel Rivers. I'm 90 years old. On a quiet night, surrounded by the ticking of my old
and the faint smell of polished wood in my study, I took my last breath on earth. My body was frail, worn by nearly a century of life, but my mind was alert until the very end. I wasn't afraid. I had lived, I had loved, I had lost, and I had hoped. Then, suddenly, I was somewhere else. The air was not air. It shimmered like liquid gold, warm and comforting. The weight of my body vanished, and I felt lighter than I ever imagined possible. I could see everything around me, yet there were no walls, no ceiling, no floor, just an endless, brilliant light that felt alive. And then I saw him, not as the pictures in churches, not as I had imagined in my prayers, but more real than reality itself. Jesus stood there, radiating a light that seemed to breathe. His eyes were gentle, yet full of wisdom, accumulated across all of eternity. The moment our gaze met, every doubt, every fear I had ever carried melted away. "Samuel," he said, not with a voice that moved through air, but one that spoke directly into my soul. "You have lived a long life, and now you are ready to see what is hidden." I felt a pull, not forceful, but like the hand of someone who knows exactly where you need to go. I was drawn forward through a tunnel of light that swirled around me like water, warm and soothing. Thoughts of my family, my friends, the wars I had witnessed, the joys and pains of decades, everything I loved, everything I feared passed through me in a cascade of memory and emotion. When the tunnel opened, I was standing above a landscape that looked familiar, yet distorted. Cities stretched out beneath me, darkened by shadows I could feel pressing down like a weight. I sensed tragedy before I saw it. A man in the prime of his life, a man known to many, struggling against forces invisible to ordinary eyes. "Samuel," Jesus said, "I will show you the truth about Charlie Kirk. Not the stories the world tells, not the gossip or fear, but the truth as it exists in the spiritual realm." I blinked, and suddenly I was seeing a series of images, flashes of choices, consequences, whispers of shadowy figures trying to pull him into confusion and despair. And yet, amidst it all, there were glimmers of hope, acts of courage and conviction that shone brightly against the darkness. Jesus gestured, and I felt his presence close, enveloping me in warmth. "Do you understand, Samuel? The world sees only fragments, only the surface, but everything, the fear, the deception, the lies, the truths untold, they are threads in a tapestry that only I can see completely." I shivered, both from awe and from understanding. This wasn't judgment, it was revelation. And as I watched, I realized that every person, no matter their fame, their influence, their power, is caught in a battle far greater than the human eye can perceive. "You will return," he said gently, "and you will tell what you have seen, not to incite fear, not to accuse, but to guide hearts back to truth, to discernment, to light. Tell them, nothing is hidden from me, and all is known." And then the scene shifted again, and I was being drawn forward towards something even brighter, something I could not yet comprehend. The light around me pulsed softly, and I felt Jesus' presence like a gentle tide wrapping around my soul. He didn't speak immediately. Instead, he guided my gaze toward the earth below. I could see the world in a way I had never seen it before, not just people, buildings, or streets, but the invisible threads of choices, intentions, and consequences. Everything glowed or dimmed depending on the weight of truth or deception. Then I saw him, Charlie Kirk, not as a public figure, not through the distorted lens of social media or news cycles, but as a person, vulnerable and human, standing at the intersection of influence and temptation. The energy around him flickered like a candle in a storm, caught between light and shadow. I could feel the pressure from unseen forces trying to twist his decisions, to lure him into lies, into pride, into false certainty. Jesus reached out, and I felt his hand on my chest, grounding me. "Samuel," he said. You see only part of the battle on earth. He is not the enemy. The enemy is the darkness that surrounds every heart. Watch carefully. I watched Charlie make choices. Small at first comments on social media, moments of defensiveness, the subtle pride in speeches, the way certain messages were amplified to sway others. And for every action rooted in love, integrity, and truth, there was a counterforce, a shadow whispering lies into the hearts of those who followed him. I could see it like smoke wrapping around him, almost invisible, but deadly if ignored. The whispers weren't demons. Exactly, they were the cumulative weight of neglect, of misinformation, of fear. They are the voices of the world, Jesus explained. They do not care for truth. They care for chaos. Every man must choose which voice he listens to. Then I saw Charlie's heart, and for a brief moment, I understood the depth of his struggle. There was a longing for clarity, a desire to lead with wisdom, a hope to guide others toward light. But the distractions, the lies, the anger of unseen forces were relentless. It made me ache, seeing a man so gifted, so full of potential, being pulled by currents beyond human comprehension. Jesus shifted the vision. Now I saw the public's role. People in their homes, their minds tangled in social media arguments, reacting with emotion rather than understanding. The shadows whispered to them too. You are right. They are wrong. Hate them. And humanity obeyed. They amplified the noise, reinforcing the darkness surrounding Charlie and thousands like him. Do you see? Jesus asked. This is not punishment. It is consequence. Every choice matters. Every heart that turns from mercy feeds the darkness, and every heart that turns toward love creates light. I felt the weight of the revelation. This wasn't a story about politics or personalities. It was a story about the battle for souls, the unseen influence of choices, and the power of love and forgiveness. Charlie Kirk, like everyone, was not beyond hope, but the moment-to-moment decisions shaped the reality of his life and those around him. Jesus then showed me something else. Moments when Charlie could have acted differently, spoken differently, or embraced humility and empathy. Each opportunity was like a golden thread extending from his heart, reaching toward light. Some threads he grasped, others he let slip away. I realized how fragile and precious each decision was, how quickly the path could shift toward shadow if the golden threads were ignored. Tears filled my eyes as I saw it, the complexity, the struggle, the human drama that no news article could ever capture. And then I heard Jesus speak again, his voice calm yet firm. Samuel, you must return. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them that the world is caught in unseen battles, that leaders are human, and that every choice shapes eternity. Tell them to love, to discern, to seek mercy. The truth is not always what the world proclaims, but it is always visible to the heart that seeks it. And with that, I felt a gentle pull once more, a sensation of moving through the infinite light. I knew it was almost time to return to my body, to the world I had just left behind. But the vision, the lessons, and the love, those would stay with me forever. I felt the pull stronger now, the sensation of floating between two worlds. Jesus walked beside me, radiating warmth and calm, yet his gaze was full of urgency. Samuel, he said, it is time to understand the ripple of choices. Not just one life, but millions are shaped by what they accept or reject in their hearts. The scene shifted. I was no longer hovering over Charlie Kirk alone. I was high above America. Cities stretched endlessly beneath me, glowing faintly under the night sky. From above, I could see people in their homes, scrolling endlessly, arguing in comment sections, liking posts with outrage in their eyes. The energy of anger, pride, and fear pooled together like a river of smoke, dark and sticky, seeping into the streets. Jesus gestured, and I zoomed in. A teenager in Michigan slammed her phone down after reading a harsh post about someone she didn't even know. A businessman in Florida furrowed his brow at a video that made him feel insulted. An elderly woman in New York whispered a silent curse at a political figure on her screen. Every click, every reaction, every unchecked emotion fed the shadows that clung to hearts like chains. "They are blind," Jesus said softly, his voice reaching directly into my chest. "Blind to the truth, because they have chosen the distraction, the anger, the comfort of certainty over love. And yet, hope is still present. Every act of mercy, every choice to forgive, every moment of compassion, it strengthens the light, and it can reach even the darkest hearts." Then the vision returned to Charlie Kirk. I saw him sitting alone in a quiet room, scrolling through endless posts. The shadows whispered to him, pushing anger, pride, and fear. But then a soft golden light brushed across him. He paused, looked up, and in that moment, he saw beyond the noise. A fleeting awareness of truth, mercy, and love. A chance to step away from the path that led only to darkness. Jesus' hand rested on my shoulder. "This is the message you must carry back, Samuel. It is not about condemnation. It is about awareness. The choices made in small moments online, in conversation, in silent thoughts, shape the spirit, the soul, and the world. Tell them to choose light. Tell them to choose mercy. Tell them that even one heart awakened can change everything." The pull grew stronger, signaling that it was almost time for me to return to my body. I looked at the panorama one last time, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on my chest. "But how can I reach them all?" I whispered. "How can I make them see?" Jesus smiled, a radiant, comforting smile that carried the weight of eternity. "You do not need to reach all at once, one heart at a time, one choice at a time, one act of love at a time. That is enough to change the course of darkness. Now go, Samuel. Go back to the world. Bring light where you can, and teach others to do the same." The pull intensified, and suddenly, I was falling. The brilliant light faded into the familiar pressure and weight of my body. I gasped, coughing, as a bright hospital light stung my eyes. Tubes, monitors, and voices surrounded me. My heart raced, my lungs burned, but I was alive. The nurses and doctors were moving quickly, but I could only focus on one thing: the vision, the message, and the urgency of what I had been shown. I later learned that I had been clinically dead for 12 minutes. Doctors shook their heads in disbelief at my survival. My body should not have withstood the trauma, but I knew the truth, the reality that no medical explanation could touch. I had seen beyond, and I had been entrusted with a mission. Even now, every time I close my eyes, I see the swirling shadows of anger, pride, and fear. I see the golden threads of mercy stretching toward every heart. And I remember Jesus' words, "One heart awakened can change everything." This is why I must speak. This is why I must share what I saw. The future of hearts, the future of nations, the course of countless lives, it hinges on the choices we make today. Choose love, choose mercy, choose light. When I opened my eyes, the world hit me like a wave. The bright hospital lights stung. The monitors beeped frantically, and nurses moved with urgency. But in my mind, I carried something far heavier than my body could bear alone. The vision, the message, the mission. I could still feel the warmth of Jesus' presence, his hand on my shoulder, his voice in my chest, telling me that what I had seen was not just for me, it was for everyone. I was weak, barely able to move. But I understood immediately what I had to do. Every heart I encountered, every conversation, every interaction was an opportunity to plant light where darkness was trying to grow. The small moments listening to someone with patience, forgiving a minor offense, showing kindness to a stranger, these were the battles that mattered. They were the golden threads I had seen stretching across the world, fragile but powerful, capable of changing lives. Later, when my family came into the room, their faces etched with worry, fear, and relief, I wanted to tell them everything. I wanted to explain the shadowy whispers that led hearts astray, the opportunities for mercy that people throw away without realizing the overwhelming love and patience of Jesus that waits for every single one of us. But I couldn't speak yet. My throat was raw from the tubes, and my voice only managed weak, gagging sounds. My parents cried, holding my hands, and I could only squeeze theirs back, hoping the love and life that had been restored to me was enough to communicate that something extraordinary had happened. Once I recovered enough to speak, I began sharing what I had seen. I told them about Charlie Kirk, not to condemn him, but to illustrate the dangerous path of anger, pride, and bitterness unchecked. I told them about the shadows that attach to our hearts, whispering lies, twisting perception, and growing stronger with every choice we make against love and mercy. I described the light, the golden threads of hope, of divine intervention, of opportunities that appear when we open our hearts, even briefly, to compassion. People listened, some skeptically, others with tears in their eyes, because the truth of what I had experienced was not sensational, it was personal, intimate, and terrifyingly real. Jesus' message was clear. We cannot ignore the heart, the soul, or the subtle choices that determine our paths. The greatest battles are not fought in politics, in boardrooms, or on social media. They are fought in the unseen corners of our hearts, where the whispers and shadows try to claim dominion. I went to my school, to my church, to community centers. I spoke to teenagers who felt lost, adults weighed down by anger and resentment, and families fractured by misunderstanding. I taught them to recognize the poison of bitterness, the allure of self-righteousness, and the trap of unforgiveness. I taught them to notice the small golden threads, the kind words, the moments of grace, the chance to forgive, and the opportunities to love where it feels most impossible. Each story, each lesson, carried the echo of what Jesus had shown me. And the vision didn't leave me. At night, I sometimes drifted into sleep only to see the river of dark smoke again, flowing across cities, the shadows whispering lies and fanning flames of anger. But I also saw the light, stretching, growing, penetrating where it seemed impossible. I saw hearts awakening, one by one, families reconciling, communities choosing mercy over vengeance. And I understood the fight was not hopeless. One heart, one choice, one act of love at a time could turn the tide. I carry that message now in every step, every breath, every word. Heaven is real, hell is real, the shadows are real, and the light is real. But the most important truth of all is that each of us has the power to choose which we follow. The world may seem filled with anger, injustice, and despair, but the golden threads of mercy, forgiveness, and love are always there, waiting for us to grasp them. Jesus didn't just show me the fate of one man or one nation. He showed me the stakes of every life, every choice, every whisper of anger, pride, or hatred. He entrusted me with this knowledge, not for my comfort, but for action. I will never forget his words. Samuel, go back. Light the threads, teach mercy, save hearts. And so I live each day with purpose, knowing that the world can be changed, that darkness can be resisted, and that love, pure, radiant, and unyielding love can save even the hearts that seem lost forever. This is my testimony. This is what I was shown, and this is the truth. Every soul matters, every choice matters, and every act of light creates ripples that can touch eternity.